6th Annual 409 Invitational Exhibition of painting and sculpture from the Rio Grande Valley. We call the show SEIS, or six. It's just a numeral. You can read it any way you want. And what I try to do is round up the best art that I like to look at and hang it on my wall. One work of art per artist. And it's like a survey of what's going on.
Clavo mi remo en el agua, llevo tu remo en el mío.
I'm Angel Cabrales. This is my piece titled Sugar Bombs, and it's actually a piece about the fact that a lot of people have like diabetes and a lot of the overeating. So the piece is actually making grenades, something that's explosive, to make it look more candy-like, along with the packaging. So on the opposite side, I made the logo of what the candy's logos are, and essentially it was, you can take one of these, pull a pin, and eat it, and of course you're gonna blow up large, which is what happens when you eat a lot of sugar, right? So that's essentially, it's a small meaning on this one. I like making a lot of playful artwork, but at the same time having it look really dangerous. So danger and playful at the same time, and a nice play with the little satirical twist to it. I'm actually the first artist in my family. I come from a family of engineers and scientists. My dad's actually a rocket scientist. He works at White Sands Missile Range, and my mom was a political activist. So my artwork, where it first started out with me drawing on the walls at home, and then painting on the walls, evolved into wanting to have a lot more to say about the world around me. So at first it was more of an introspective look into myself, and then from there I decided that, well, since I have this talent, I want to actually help and spread knowledge and make people think. The whole idea is not to tell people what to think with my artwork, but to make them think about things. So I like creating dialogue with my work. The philosophy that I have when it comes to sculpture and artwork is that anything and everything can be used for artwork, material-wise. So sculpture materials, you can use anything. I don't believe in limiting yourself. So when it comes to my artwork, I tend to fabricate or use found objects, or incorporate the fact that I know graphic design or painting, ceramics, whatever is needed for the artwork. It's always about the idea first, and then tailoring the technique to the idea. What I'd really like to accomplish is just to make people think. When I can see people looking at the artwork and discussing what it is and talking about it, and not necessarily just about the piece, but the issues and topics that they revolve around, that to me is success.
Hi, my name is Fu Qian. I was always doing photography, and start from last year I started to learn oil painting. So this is I think it's the second of my large painting, and I did a chrysanthemum, because chrysanthemum is autumn flower in China, and particularly this one is I call it dancing of the autumn, and so it's the color purple also significant changing of the warmth to the cold as the season change. I'm always interested in finding all these beautiful things in our ordinary daily life, and I'm also especially interested in color. Color always attracts me, so I guess.
My name is Nelly Lira Brownsville, and this is my piece, and it's called Youth is Not Forever. It's a mixed media. This is not a regular canvas. I stretched lace on wood, so that's why you see all the different holes and textures and everything. And I painted it with acrylics, and another mixed media element is the embroidery part of it. Well, this in particular, I wanted it to be part of the theme here at the gallery, which is juventud or youth. And the idea is that youth is not forever. everybody's gonna die, everybody's gonna grow old, and there's a process. First you're young, and then you're an adult, and then you're an older adult, and then you pass away. And so the idea here is like, if you see these flowers, like they have like the thread coming in and out of them. I wanted to show like the life coming out of them, just like, you know, everything they had to give, all the youth, all the energy. And so it goes up like this, and then here you can tell there's no more thread. Like the flowers just, they're able to stand by themselves, and they're a little bit more stable. There's not so much movement as in this other side. And as time progresses, like the petals, they start to, you know, brown a little bit more until, you know, there's more decay. As you can also tell, the background here is like lush and green and like kind of really bright green, and it just kind of fades into this brown right here. I painted myself in it because I usually do self-portraits. I do a lot of that because I feel I want to be involved with my work, not just in painting, but also, you know, showing myself like that. And the idea here is also that youth is like a cloak. Like youth is like this dress that she's wearing, and she's got it on here well, and then here it's already falling a little bit off. And it's a garment that fades away. And here I'm holding a little plant, and it's young and it's alive and it's growing. And then here on this side, I don't know if you can tell, like there's another little plant that's already, you know, already sad, already decaying. And so that's it. And I'm making eye contact with the viewer, like from the painting, saying, that's me and that's you. Okay, well, I guess the first thing that you need to know about myself is that I'm a Christian, and really everything that I do is very entwined with my belief system. I believe in God, and, you know, I believe what the Bible says. So that, of course, has a tremendous impact on everything that I do. I mean, the idea of we're not going to live forever, so live it right. You know, don't live like you're some sort of crazy thing out there, because that's not going to profit you in the end. And so I guess that has a little bit to do with that. In terms of my artwork, I want to keep on painting. I want to expand. I'm starting, you know, with photography and painting and just doing things and putting it out there. I want to show more in galleries, and eventually I want to have my own gallery so that I can, you know, showcase my art even more, and also have other artists come in, and, you know, so that the community can see more. Well, I'm originally from Matamoros, Mexico. I grew up there until I was probably age 16, and then I came over to the United States. It was culture shocking because everything that you do here is different than the way that we think, the way that we do things. But it's not so foreign that, you know, somebody can adapt. I guess also growing in Mexico, I'm more used to the idea of like, okay, age happens, you know, things happen, and so there's not this like the grasping of eternal youth kind of a mentality that a lot of times is here, like through fashion and through just different ideas. In Mexico, at least in Matamoros, you see a lot of elderly doing things and being out there, and older people like still giving it all and not so much reminiscing like, oh, I wish I was young again, you know, things like that.
I'm Guido Mattei, sometimes called the Guy, and my work is in various media. Lately I've been working a lot in wood, particularly mesquite, that I've collected a lot of it from Hurricane Dolly, trees that have fallen in people's yards. And a piece like this becomes a sculpture because when I pick up the log, I like it. We call this one mannequin. I don't know if it's a passion so much as an addiction. I love to make things. I used to make things and sell them. Now I do art. Yeah, I've been doing the art maybe for about 20 years, but I still do metal fabrication, and I'm a blacksmith. And I have no real goal. I just like to make stuff. I just like to make things. I find shapes interesting, form interesting. I like to make works that are tactile, that people people can touch. And a body form, though, sex-wise, I wasn't sure what it is, and I still don't know. So it's sort of misogynist or something. But in any case, I take off the white wood, the bark, and I shape it. I mean, it wasn't exactly this shape. I put a little waist into it and carved a little bowl in the top, and it looked like a mannequin or one of those things the guys use to hang their shirt and coupling songs. And so that's why the stand. Well, I suppose I was doing some iron work for an old house in Brownsville, and they wanted me to make some iron that looked like some old iron they had, and so I started doing some forge work, blacksmithing, and I just sort of branched out into sculpture, but I've always had an interest in sculpture.
My name is Jessica Salazar McBride. I'm from Harlingen. I'm from the Rio Grande Valley. And this is my piece, The Shaman. And it's made of paper mache and paper clay. And the inspiration for this was mainly the healer, the healing person, the person who heals people, and what their energy would be like, create within themselves, what it would look like if you could visualize it. I mainly work with paper mache, and it's a process of paper pulp and paper clay. It's a process that I've come to love because of the fact that it's very. I'm reusing paper and recycling. I'm doing something of that nature, and I love working with my hands. And there is a definite process to it, and there's time to create it. I have an interest with people who are in the healing arts, either with their spiritual energy or your doctor, your nurse, but mainly what drives a person to feel that they could heal. And the spiritual energy, creating the healing process, that's something I'm just completely, very interested in it, and it just, the only way I can express it is through my art, and I always think about the energy that, I just imagine what somebody like that would look like, if you could see what their energy would look like. Well, I've been doing some sort of form of art ever since I was a child, and it was by accident I started doing this kind of art. My husband and I did a lot of graphic design. He was doing the websites, and I did a lot of graphic illustration. And we had an office, and the office was quite barren. And he asked me, "Can you make some artwork?" And I said, "Sure, I'll do something. That'd be great for me to do something." And I had some on the wall, some sculptural pieces on the wall. And this woman came in, and she was talking to my husband about his doing a website for their art house. And so I got invited to their first show, and from there it just took off. I live in Harlingen, Texas, and I was born in Edinburgh, and I grew up in Alamo, Texas, on a large produce farm, and it was very isolated, and I had to pretty much entertain myself. My mother had this thing where she would just grab the Encyclopedia A, that's like old school, and she would drop it in front of me and say, "Draw some animals." So I would stay there hours upon hours drawing every little animal that I could, and just entertain myself on that basis. But I was always creating something with my hands, my own toys, because my parents were kind of like, they weren't always giving us toys every time something happened. It was birthdays and Christmas, and that was it. And in between, we built up our creativity, creating our own things. So that's what I'd love to show in the West. California, maybe Seattle. I would love to go further up.
My name is Yvette Vela, and I'm a photographer here in Brownsville. And tonight I have the honor of showing my piece Carnaval at the Gallery 409 amongst all these other brilliant artists. So it's an absolute privilege for me to finally be showing in the same room of all these other amazing artists here. Not only in Brownsville, but they come from McAllen and Harlingen and other parts of the valley. So this particular photograph came about. I'm also a photographer for the Brownsville Herald, a photojournalist, and I was on an assignment to cover the rodeo. And in my head, I said, well, I'm going to go and spend 5 minutes because I had other assignments lined up and just get in and out. Well, as soon as I stepped foot onto the field, I started getting this sort of feeling like I need to stay here longer. I just was wildly inspired by everything that I saw. And it was very busy, and a storm started rolling in early in the morning. And I happened to turn around and I saw this Ferris wheel all by itself. You know, it was just there was something very calm, very peaceful, very mysterious to me, and I couldn't help it but photograph it because at that time the sun broke from this cloudy sky. So that's kind of how that image came about. And then after looking at the entire take, I realized that rodeos, carnivals were just so much fun for me to work with. There was a lot of work there that I just wanted to explore and discover and familiarize myself with. Photography for me came about. I always knew that I had very talented friends and they were always playing an instrument or doing something, and I always tried to capture it, but I never really knew the fundamentals of it. And so about 6 years ago, I decided to take a class at the university. I enrolled in black and white film, and so initially that's how photography started. I said if I want to know the entire thing, I should start from the very beginning, from the fundamentals of it. So black and white film was my world for a couple of years, and then I had this wonderful opportunity to work for the Herald, and that's when I started transitioning over to the color, to digital, and just having a lot of fun with that. I think my goals as an artist is just to keep trying to be inspired, keep trying to create, and keep trying to tell a story of some sort, if not my own, somebody else's.
Okay. My name is Carol Plum, and I'm an artist. I paint landscapes, and when I tell people I paint landscapes, they always kind of look so bored, but I like to think my landscapes are pretty exciting because I'm always looking for an element to abstract. Now this is a pretty typical example of my paintings. This is the Laguna Madre, and I like to do studies of light. I love the French Impressionists, and I love the way that they always were working with light. So I'm always thinking about the light in the sky, the light in the water. I love painting water because really all water is a mirror with texture. The water's not blue, the sky isn't. So when I look at something like this, I'm always trying to show the motion of the water, and I'm always trying to portray water in kind of an original way. I never took a class where somebody said, no, this is how you paint water. I just kind of stepped right into it, and somehow I just liked it, and it worked, and other